Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for the Wellness Own It in 2020 and Beyond presentation. Today, I am thrilled to introduce Courtney, Director of College Mental Health Programs at Boston University, as well as Juan, Pooja, and David. Juan is a training associate with the college mental health programs. Pooja and David are both senior peer mentors in the same program, and they are here today to present to all of us, and we were very thankful for all of you and your time. I would also like to send a thank you to the transition team, Jill Curry, Riley Brown, and John Curley, who are going to be here with us today, helping manage the question and answer button. Their cameras are going to go off, so we will not see them, but we will see their logo. So thank you so much for being here as well. To everyone attending today, thank you. You guys have made this possible. We are so thankful you're all here. Just a few things to let you know, this will be an interactive conversation with the team from BU. They're going to be using the Q&A. The chat has been turned off for our presentation. At the end of this presentation, Courtney is going to share this PowerPoint with me. So if you would like a copy, please use the email to the RSVP and I will make sure that I send you a copy of that. And if you have any other questions or feedback, you can email me directly. Ryan Connors, Employment and Community Resource Specialist with Newton Public Schools. Thank you again, everyone. And Courtney and team, take it away.
Thank you so much. Let's get right into this awesome presentation today. Thanks everyone again for joining. And a brief intro to really contextualize why it's important that Boston University is here and at Newton Public. What happened was a year ago, some really smart people like Riley and Jill and Ryan and John and their team thought, wouldn't it be great to collaborate with a program that's doing collegiate resilience work, helping students stay in school, in college, thrive, be well, stay well, be in the role of their choice. And what if we took that and we brought it to high school and kind of changed it up a little bit and made it collegiate readiness programming? Before you get to school, building, growing, developing smart people. So that's what we did. A year ago, we started collaborating, or more maybe. And then some really generous people donated money and to see that this would happen. So here is today's a great example of another opportunity for collaborating between Boston University's College Mental Health Programs, from which David, Pooja, Juan, and I work, and with this brilliant school system that has lots of resources. And today we offer one more: how to build your toolkit, how to survive and thrive, ... just in 2020 and beyond. So we are your hosts today. We're going to use a framework today of resilience that involves these 7 areas that you see on your screen. And I'm going to say them out loud for you. About getting by and getting through or being resilient involves emotional agility, self-efficacy, realistic optimism, problem solving, of course, impulse control, self-advocacy, and empathy. And we're going to hone in on a couple of these activities today. That's the interactive part that Ryan was talking about. And what we want to acknowledge here before we get started with my beautiful and brilliant co-presenters, David, Pooja, and Juan, we want to acknowledge, take a moment, everyone who's here. If you're a staff person, a parent, a community member, a student, teacher, take a moment, please, and acknowledge that you are here, that you are resilient to be here. Okay, you know what this means to be tough and survive and thrive. You're doing it. You're here. We're going to go a little deeper than beyond the things that you're already doing to be here. Staying connected, getting out and getting some fresh air when you're able, safely, wearing your mask, sleeping, eating good food, taking care of yourself, your mind, your body, and your community. You're doing those things, okay? We're going to go a little deeper into some of these other areas with some fun exercises, engaging exercises that are really practical, hands-on, and we invite everyone to join in. Think about how you want to incorporate these exercises into your day as an individual, your wellness plan as a student, your classrooms as a teacher, or maybe dinner table discussions as a parent or family member. And I'm going to pass it off to Juan to get us started about emotional agility.
Hi, everybody. It's great to be here. Really excited to be presenting with this wonderful team. I'm a college coach and instructor. My name is Juan again, and I'll be presenting on emotional agility to get us started on this model of resilience. What is emotional agility? In short, is the ability to pivot from negative experiences. A very simple way of developing emotional agility is just having the right language to name what's going on with our emotions. So, for instance, if we use the expression "I'm stressed," that may be too broad, unspecific, and all or nothing, not so very useful kind of language. You may want to qualify that by saying, "I'm furious. Have so much to balance. Am I afraid of what will happen if I slip up? I'm unsure how I'm going to keep up all these responsibilities." By naming and differentiating emotions, we become aware that emotions, by definition, are transient, are impermanent. Emotions pass. Even though we may feel that fury, fear, or uncertainty will last forever, they will pass. So, to get us started thinking about emotional agility, I wanted to ask our peer mentors, David and Pooja, how's emotional agility helping you cope in this pandemic?
Um, First off, hello everyone. My name is David. So for me, emotional agility, it's all about just like knowing where you're at, because you can be like high on confused and medium on mad, and knowing which is more important, which needs to be sorted out first, setting priorities for sorting through your emotions and knowing sort of what you're feeling the most right now really helps, and helps also for you to advocate and sort of like speak through what you're feeling.
Yeah, I agree with David. Hi, I'm Pooja. It helps you, at least for me, really, really helps me communicate and relate. I think that during these times, you really have to be able to communicate what you're feeling. You can't really bottle it up, otherwise it's going to, at some point explode whatever you're feeling. So you need to be able to know where you're at, like David said, and communicate. And when you do that, you can relate. And that's an easy way to let out your feelings or whatever emotions you're feeling. And it's a good way to figure out how to get an outlet for all those emotions.
Thank you so much. And we want to get the conversation started. And first time, I must say that I'm using the Q&A feature. So bear with me. I am going to ask all participants, we have roughly 40 participants, if you can utilize the Q&A feature to name different intensity level of emotions. Like if you look at the screen on the far left column, there's the confused. What high intensity word could you find, if you can jot it down in the Q&A feature for describing being confused? I'm confused. How will you describe that? Let's see what the answers are.
Frazzled, good one. It kind of, it's go back to your SAT, your PSAT practice for this. Befuddled, frazzled. Think about how you felt the first time you used Zoom.
Clueless, lost. Oh, this is wonderful. Interacting in real time with so many of you. If we can find a medium level, medium intensity level for confused, what words would come to mind? Participants, if you don't mind using the Q&A feature. Thank you for pointing the right direction, Courtney.
We were
Which
joking yesterday that, with high intensities, being a New Englander, that word usually is preceded by wicked. If you're, wicked lost, you're wicked befuddled, and medium's just kind of a little bit less than that, a little bit less, a little maybe puzzled, perplexed. These are great.
That's perfect. Can we try a different emotion? We have mad in the next column. A high intensity word would be furious. If we can find a medium level intensity for feeling mad, what would participants say? Irritated, angered.
Peeved. That's a good one. We don't use peeved enough. It's good. Something, David, you mentioned yesterday is how you can feel kind of two things at once too, right? And confused and mad can actually go together really often and naturally. This idea of being, it's upsetting actually to feel confused if you feel like you should know the answer to something or feel like it should come easily.
This is great. How about a low intensity word for
Low
feeling
intensity
mad?
mad.
I'm curious to hear what the, thanks for the qualifier, Courtney, like a New Englander kind of version for, I know David, who's in upstate New York, would possibly say it differently.
Yeah, it goes like wicked, kind of, and a little. I'm wicked furious. I'm kind of upset. I'm a little peeved. These are great.
Thank you very much for participating and for getting us started with this reflection. Definitely emotions are transient again. And the very first step towards emotional agility is having the capacity to name them, to identify them and differentiate them from each other. Good point you made, Courtney, as to sometimes confusion and feeling mad go hand in hand. And maybe the emotion is, I'm feeling torn, confused. I have mixed, complicated emotions, and that's okay too. But using the right language to identify and differentiate is a very first step towards emotional agility. Do we have time for one more, or do we move on to the next one?
I think we can move on. We'll build on it.
Okay.
This is good.
Empathy. So this pandemic has given us plenty of opportunities to practice empathy towards one another. Empathy is being comfortable not knowing someone else's experience and asking, being genuinely curious, non-transactionally curious. In Brené Brown's words, empathy drives connection. Empathy has to do with perspective taking, staying out of judgment, identifying, recognizing emotion in someone else's, and feeling with other people. So David and Pooja, I would like to ask you again, how are you experiencing empathy in this pandemic, and how's empathy helping you cope with and be resilient with everything that's going on?
I know for me, in my family, it's just the three of us. It's just me, my dad, and my mom. And I think the best way we utilize empathy is just listening to each other. We have 2 meals a day, lunch and dinner, and we talk about what we're feeling. And the best way to do that is just to listen. And I know the best way to listen is to just not think about giving advice. Don't try to feel like you need to fix anything. Don't feel like you need to say you should be feeling a certain way or you should be doing something. Just to listen and just to have an open ear amongst those around you.
Yeah, something that I hear a lot of people when they're talking about empathy seem to think that like you have to perfectly understand what someone else is going through. When to me, empathy is just about being kind and listening. That I like talking with my parents. My mom is a pediatrician and works doctor for kids and gives COVID tests, and I don't know like what that's like, the stress that's on her. So the best I can do is just, when she comes home from a long day is like try and, make it easier on her. And vice versa, when I'm having a hard day, that's what I expect from her, is her to just not try and fix things, to just try and understand.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm going to use the Q&A feature again. I'm going to,
The scenario?
a little bit of trouble with this scenario right now, but if I'm just gonna share my words. It's if participants can imagine a friend texts you and they just found out that spring varsity sports will not be available. It's their senior year. They've been on the lacrosse team for all 3 years. They were going to be captain and they were counting on college recruitment and scholarship. You text back and you say, you must be / feel blank. Let's try this exercise to respond with empathy towards this kind of a scenario. Let me just read it again to reorient you. Imagine a friend texts you, they just found out that spring varsity sports will not be available. It's their senior year. They've been on the lacrosse team for all 3 years. They were going to be captain and they were counting on college recruitment and scholarship. What would your response be? You text back and say, you must be / feel blank.
It's a very real scenario too, Juan. A really good one when things we're looking forward to that help us stay well, feel good, and mean something financially. There's a lot of weight there that this person feels disappointed. These are great.
Devastated. You must feel so discouraged since you missed the big opportunity. Must be so bummed. I'm so sorry this is happening.
And the beauty of this, you can hear it kind of playing out if you were having a discussion. I know this person texted you in the scenario, but when you name that feeling, like David said, you don't have to know exactly what's going on, but you name that feeling, you must be so overwhelmed or you must be so disappointed. That person is going to feel, just like Pooja said, heard, and then keep going. Yes. And this becomes, right, the outlet for that person. Yes, I feel so bummed. I feel so overwhelmed.
And it's okay if you don't know what's going on. You can present it as a, are you feeling like this? As a question too. In the spirit of what David was saying, being genuinely curious and being there, maybe not knowing, not fully identifying what's going on, similar to emotional agility, might help the other person get in touch with their own emotion, with their own experience.
Juan, you gave some great examples with this little template here. You feel blank, or you must feel. There are a lot of kind of precursors there because, and some of these examples that are on the screen for our attendees, I hear you. You feel overwhelmed because your work hours got cut and we're counting on that income. So imagine someone comes to you and they're really counting on money and feeling maybe financial insecurity, and what happens when they lose hours. So you feel disappointed your parents don't trust you. maybe a family member made a decision and excluded a student or person in that decision. You feel disappointed. Or it sounds like you feel ashamed is another powerful emotion. You feel ashamed you cheated and conflicted about what to do next. I think of so often the students who get into difficult situations um, with making a bad decision and cheating, right? Or even an accidental decision and plagiarizing. And what to do next. That's a scary and shameful feeling and scary situation. Anything else, Juan, on empathy?
I think we're good for the next one.
You feel we are ready to move on?
I feel so.
Such a powerful tool and a very important skill to have. Let's go on to our next exercise, of which there will be a couple more exercises. And I hope this is feeling at a pace where you are at least able to think about how to engage in these exercises. And a reminder to those who are joining us later that Ryan will have access to this recorded session and these exercises so you can keep practicing. This one is one of my favorites of resiliency. My favorite because self-efficacy, or the belief that you can do something, is actually built on what you are already, what you have, and what you can do. And what I love about that is it's not about goals. It's not about I should, or I wish, or I want to be able to. It's what you are right now. And these are things for all of our participants. All of you have these things, these areas, these 3 domains of self-efficacy that Edith Grotberg kind of wrote out for us. So let's use the Q&A. Your activity right now is really great. I'm imagining some of you in maybe like a classroom, and there's one and maybe instructor offering up your answers in the Q&A. That energy is really exciting to me. So let's keep up the use of the Q&A. And let's start off with the I am column. Take a moment, think inwardly. I am. What are you? Tell us what you are. Tell us your health, your strengths, the things that you rely on that have allowed you to be here, the things that are not a goal. It exists and no one can take it away. I am what? What would you say? Use the Q&A. And please offer some space and grace in doing this exercise, because it's hard. It's hard to look inwardly and offer your strengths. And it's critical. We do it often outwardly. We need to do it inwardly too, and take a moment, take pause. I am kind. I am kind is one of the answers. I'm a good listener. I am generous. I'm hardworking. I'm creative. Flexible. Oof, that's an important one. I'm flexible. I am strong. When you take pause to generate the list of what you are, please think about keeping however you organize that list, and maybe on a piece of paper, in your pocket, in your wallet, in your purse, on your phone, in a note, on a mirror where you're brushing your teeth in the morning. These are things that you deserve to be reminded of. These are things that, that carry us through. A reminder that you're all of these beautiful strengths that we're seeing. David and Pooja, do you, as young adults who have lots of life experiences, do you have wisdom you would share in the vein of self-efficacy?
All I can say is it's really, really important to have someone there for you that you trust, someone on your team. I know so many times that there's probably something that's going to get you down, like I don't know, make it onto some sports team on your in your high school, or you don't get into a certain college, there's always someone there to help you and support you, and they always see things that good things in you that you yourself don't see, and sometimes you really need that push and support.
A reminder. That's great.
For me, also, like, it's that you can be multiple things. Like, I am anxious, I have depression, but that doesn't stop me from being funny. That doesn't stop me from being kind, and that doesn't stop me from having people who care about me. I can have things that I don't like about myself, but that doesn't stop me from having good positive traits that I like and enjoy.
Great point, David. Just, that there will be times in our life when it's especially hard to acknowledge the dichotomy of yes and yes, I have a serious mental health condition, and I'm really funny, and I'm kind, and I'm smart and curious, and all of and strong, all of the answers that are coming up. Those are great. I have, um, if you're logging this down somewhere, I'm going like this, like paper and pencil. If you're typing this out, or that's great. This is a great time to take pause and think about what goes under the I have column. You could also just take a moment and be with yourself and think about, what do I have? What are my go-to people, places, things, and activities that I have? No one can take it away from me. These are reliable things that I have. So like Pooja said, people who check in on me, you know? If you're on this call, you're linked in some way to Newton. You have Ryan and Riley and Jill and John and the team. You have people thinking about you, caring about you. And the last one, take a moment and think about I can. And this time use the Q&A and tell us what you can do. Tell us something that you reliably, a skill or strength that you can do. I love I can try. I can try. I think about the tremendous amount of pressure that many of you young adults live with right now, in right now's time, on top of a pandemic. And it feels imperative, actually, that you've got a bulk of self-efficacy things that you have, and you can, to remind you that maybe you can ignore some of all of the pressure, so you can put aside some of the self-assigned expectations. That would be really important. Great, everyone. Thank you for sharing, and these answers are outstanding. Let's move on to the last piece, self-advocacy. It feels so important to advocate or ask for yourself something you need, especially right now when there are lots of pivots you're taking, lots of newness and lots of uncertainty, lots of I don't know what the spring looks like, lots of I don't know what maybe your holiday season looks like, and change that drum up. If you think all the way back to Juan's emotional agility, all of those emotions, sometimes all of them at the same time, that's really heavy. We are humans who are meant to connect with others. We are meant to rely on each other. And one of my dearest colleagues and friends reminds me often, help is not a dirty word. Help is critical. And so, let's hear from our young adults, David and Pooja, on the topic of self-advocacy.
So when I was in high school, I never really opened up to anyone. Um, part of it was just not knowing, like, that I was dealing with these things. And you know, once I was able to open up to friends, once I was able to talk to people about it, just it felt freeing just being able to acknowledge parts of myself that I didn't wasn't able to before, and also just being able to connect better with my friends, right? Because I was hiding parts of myself, and they were also not, you know, opening up fully. And once one of us was able to start that, just our friendship got better, we understood each other more, you know. And it's tough. Like I can say, you know, if I were to go back to high school, I would have opened up, but that's me saying it. I don't know if I was there again, if I could, because it's hard.
Thanks for
Yeah.
acknowledging that. It's really hard, David, what it takes um, to reach out and let someone know some of these things even that are on the screen, you know? And that's why we started with some of these precursors. This is hard for me to say. That could be the start of the of your telling someone. Please know this is hard for me to say. This is hard for me to acknowledge. It's uncomfortable for me to admit this. Or this might come as a surprise to you, you know? So preparing somebody for what they're about to receive, you might be surprised by this because I wear a smile a lot, but I'm struggling or I'm unhappy, you know, and I need things to change. What a tough thing to say. And we know from scads of research that often, you know, young adults return to the same age peers at a very high rate, you know. And so, David, thanks for giving that really real example of what it was like to turn to a friend and finally say, you know, I'm struggling. I want you to know. I need you, you know. Pooja?
I think one of the biggest things that we all experience as young adults in high school, college, is that we put so much pressure and expectations on ourselves, pressure and expectations that shouldn't even be there. We expect to know everything or certain things going into a new class or a new topic that's brought up. We expect ourselves to know, even though it's a new topic and we shouldn't. That's why we're there. And it's really important to have someone there that you can talk to or advocate yourself to. I know I put a lot of pressure on myself in high school. I went to an all girls Catholic school. It was private. It was um, very rigorous, and there was times when and one time I had to make a presentation and I could not. I was freaking out all day up until the class was starting, and a friend noticed, and I opened up to them and told them, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. I don't think I can do it. I'm having a panic attack. And they got a teacher, a counselor that we could talk to. And then they talked to my teacher and were able to figure out a new plan without me having to present to everybody, but still continuing on with my project. And so that's still, I think that's the key there, being able to reach out even in such hard times. The key is being able to know that you need somebody and reaching out to them.
And reaching out. Pooja, I loved the story that it was a friend who noticed too. You know, we do have a great big responsibility as individuals to look out for the people in our community and notice, because sometimes we don't advocate in time with the feelings before our feelings start to show in ways, right? Not showering, not leaving the house, not communicating, ignoring texts and emails. Or in this case, maybe you were in school and just appeared really worried, scared, anxious. And your friend said, what's going on? You know, probably realized that's not like you. And notice that's not like you. We got to get help. And brought you, self advocated with you, right? Advocated with you and moved forward. That's a powerful story and a cool, brave thing. I'm going to ask everyone who's here with us as a participant to do another cool, brave thing. This screen, if you're able to see, it says try on. Just try on asking for help. Maybe it won't work. Maybe you went to the wrong person. That could happen. But I'm going to invite you to try on, be brave and try on something that you individually right now could use a hand with. understanding content, a project, submitting applications. So whether you are staff, faculty, student, family, community member, we're humans. I bet we could use some help with something right now. So I'm going to ask you to be brave and use the Q&A and type in, what could you advocate for now?
Courtney, I just wanted to jump in real quick and let all of the attendees know that only the panelists can see your responses, and we would never read anyone's name if responses are read out loud. So please feel free to type in your responses and share them with our presenters today. They are the ones who can see them, and no one will read anyone's name out.
That's really important. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks. I gotta say too, to that end, the exercise of trying on the language is for you, not us. It's for you. Because, like David was saying, there are times when we don't quite have the language until we really kind of push and pressure ourselves to try on the language. What am I going to say? What will I say to my boss? Maybe starting off with, this is hard for me to say. This is hard for me to say, but I don't get the assignment you gave me. This is uncomfortable for me to admit, but I haven't been doing any work and I feel lost. I feel stuck. So that exercise is really just for you to try on some of the language that you will use. Really important that you feel like that's part of your game plan.
I just want to briefly mention that this are skills that are not set in stone, and it takes practice. It takes, as you say, Courtney, making mistakes, repetition, trying again, trial and error. That these are, the more we practice, we certainly can get better at any of these skills. These are dynamic, and we can evolve and grow by using these skills. The beauty of this model is that it's been identified as 7 different factors that we can just continue to try. And as I said earlier, this pandemic has given us plenty of opportunities to practice empathy, emotional agility, self-efficacy, etc.
That's such a good point. 'Cause sometimes it feels like anything else. Like I wouldn't be upset with myself if you asked me to solve like an advanced chemistry equation if I hadn't studied it. It's the same thing. These are skills. These are really, skills to learn about, learn to and learn to practice and keep doing that. So here are the 7 skills. We looked at 4 of them today together. Emotional agility, naming your feeling is important in being able to advocate and being able to sit with that feeling, being able to acknowledge it, right? Self-efficacy, the belief that you can, is built actually on what you already have, who you already are, and what you have done in the past, what you know you can do. Realistic optimism is a great one. We didn't get to that today, but I will say briefly, it's acknowledging the negative reality. Again, to Juan's point, we've got scads of opportunity to acknowledge the negative reality. And it's actually doing that in a balanced way. Realistic optimism. This is real. I have to be on Zoom classes because that's the way I'm learning. And I don't like seeing myself on a screen, and that's uncomfortable to me. And I could probably come up with a strategy with Ryan to maybe have a picture of something that brings me comfort in front of my Zoom picture while I'm talking. Realistic optimism. Problem solving is a great, I feel like a lot of these kind of loop together, right? Problem solving is part of that. I kind of built that into realistic optimism, and often we do that with someone else, which is self-advocacy. Another one is impulse control and empathy. So the idea for today was just to offer a little tickler. of some of these and get you thinking that you are doing all of this. If I had 30 plates here or more, I'd spin them all to represent what you are doing to be right here with us today. And we're kind of asking you to think about some other little more kind of like intense, a lot of this like emotionally involved skills and places that are really important to go and do with people who are around you and support you. For more information or support, we will remind you that I'm Courtney. I work at Boston University in the college mental health programs, and that's my email address that will be shared with you. Juan, my colleague, is also a member of the college mental health programs team, and there's a phone number there if that's more convenient for you to reach out for information about that. And I realize that, you know, some of you are high school students who are thinking about college and supports and resources that are available there. And that might be a good opportunity for you to think about the college mental health programs at BU that are available to any student, not just BU students. Or maybe you're a parent, an advocate, or family member, community member, and you know someone who is in college and might be struggling right now. And if you are a high school student, I added Ryan Connor's email address to the screen as well because she's there for you. And with that, we have just a couple of minutes left. We have a close eye on the Q&A, and that's still a space where you can submit questions about what we talked about today: resiliency and surviving and thriving. You are doing it. And I will just offer Ryan to jump in, or Juan, or David or Pooja with any closing remarks.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. This has been such a meaningful experience for all of us here, and it is truly our hope that you take away some tools and tricks that you can use in every aspect of your life, not just school, but work, socialization, everything. And again, to the team from BU, thank you for taking this time today and joining us, and especially Pooja and David, who are young adults working through all of these things and being able to share their open and honest stories with us is truly so meaningful, and really hits home to the other young adults who are listening today. So thank you so much. And Juan, thank you for everything. It's been such a pleasure, and I'm going to stop recording now. For those of you who would like this presentation, please email me and I will send it out to everyone as soon as I get it. And have a great rest of your day.